Happy Thanksgiving! For those of you outside the United States, Thanksgiving is a national holiday commemorating feasts and events related to the founding and establishment of the country. And it marks the beginning of the Christmas consumer frenzy. From coast to coast, shops are abuzz with preparations for Black Friday sales and massive holiday decor extravaganzas. Email boxes are flooded with ads for enough toys to cover the surface area of the planet Jupiter. Just what I need. Cheerful bakers' arms are practically falling off in an effort to crank out the pumpkin, sweet potato, and apple pies fast enough. Internet searches for how to make cranberry sauce that people will actually eat are at an all-time high. The sappy B-movies that teach us important life lessons like how we need to believe in Santa Claus if we don't want to be villainous and deplorable jingle their way into our hearts and homes. And best of all, the noble turkey finally has its chance on the table to outshine the lesser fowl known as chickens that are somehow preferred at all other times of the year, just because they taste better and are a million times easier to cook. Everyone is excited. Mouths are watering, eyes are glinting, wallets are emptying, and somewhere in some secret, dark, and quiet corner of the land, someone is pouring impassioned rhetoric into a tender article about how Thanksgiving Day is racist. Because that's what we do in America. So something in all of this excess, binge eating, and credit card maxing has to do with giving thanks. If you're confused, some helpful clues may be found in the writings of two of our beloved former presidents. In a time when the most heated public debate topics are among fashionistas clamoring over who wore it better, a more edifying and less idiofying question would be to ask, who wrote it better? You see, although not established by law until 1941, the first time Thanksgiving was celebrated as an official national holiday was after a proclamation made by George Washington on October 3, 1789. Washington declared to his merry band of rebels, the grateful new citizens of the United States of America, "Whereas it is the duty of all nations to acknowledge the providence of Almighty God, to obey His will, to be grateful for His benefits, and humbly to implore His protection and favor, and whereas both houses of Congress have by their joint committee requested me to recommend to the people of the United States a day of public thanksgiving and prayer to be observed by acknowledging with grateful hearts the many and signal favors of Almighty God, especially by affording them an opportunity peaceably to establish a form of government for their safety and happiness. Now therefore I do recommend and assign Thursday the 26th day of November next to be devoted by the people of these states to the service of that great and glorious being who is the beneficent author of all the good that was, that is, or that will be, that we may then all unite in rendering unto Him our sincere and humble thanks for His kind care and protection of the people of this country previous to their becoming a nation, for the signal and manifold mercies and the favorable interpositions of His providence, which we experienced in the course and conclusion of the late war, for the great degree of tranquility, union, and plenty which we have since enjoyed, for the peaceable and rational manner in which we have been enabled to establish constitutions of government for our safety and happiness, and particularly the national one now lately instituted, for the civil and religious liberty with which we are blessed, and the means we have of acquiring and diffusing useful knowledge, and in general, for all the great and various favors which He hath been pleased to confer upon us. And also that we may then unite in most humbly offering our prayers and supplications to the great Lord and ruler of nations, and beseech Him to pardon our national and other transgressions, to enable us all, whether in public or private stations, to perform our several and relative duties properly and punctually, to render our national government a blessing to all the people, by constantly being a government of wise, just, and constitutional laws, discreetly and faithfully executed and obeyed, to protect and guide all sovereigns and nations, especially such as have shown kindness unto us, and to bless them with good government, peace, and concord, to promote the knowledge and practice of true religion and virtue, and the increase of science among them and us, and generally to grant unto all mankind such a degree of temporal prosperity as He alone knows to be best. Not bad for a U.S. president. But Abraham Lincoln, never one to back down from a challenge by a rebel, should not be underestimated. In his Thanksgiving Proclamation of 1863, which established the day as an annual celebration, Lincoln writes, "The year that is drawing towards its close has been filled with the blessings of fruitful fields and healthful skies. To these bounties, which are so constantly enjoyed that we are prone to forget the source from which they come, others have been added, which are of so extraordinary a nature that they cannot fail to penetrate and soften even the heart which is habitually insensible to the ever-watchful providence of Almighty God. In the midst of a civil war of unequaled magnitude and severity, which has sometimes seemed to foreign states to invite and to provoke their aggression, peace has been preserved with all nations. Order has been maintained, the laws have been respected and obeyed, and harmony has prevailed everywhere except in the theater of military conflict, while that theater has been greatly contracted by the advancing armies and navies of the Union. Needful diversions of wealth and of strength from the fields of peaceful industry to the national defense have not arrested the plow, the shuttle, or the ship. The axe has enlarged the borders of our settlements, and the mines, as well of iron and coal as of the precious metals, have yielded even more abundantly than heretofore. Population has steadily increased, notwithstanding the waste that has been made in the camp, the siege, and the battlefield. And the country, rejoicing in the consciousness of augmented strength and vigor, is permitted to expect continuance of years with large increase of freedom. No human counsel hath devised, nor hath any mortal hand worked out these great things. They are the gracious gifts of the Most High God, who, while dealing with us in anger for our sins, hath nevertheless remembered mercy. It has seemed to me fit and proper that they should be solemnly, reverently, and gratefully acknowledged, as with one heart and one voice, by the whole American people. I do therefore invite my fellow citizens in every part of the United States, and also those who are at sea and those who are sojourning in foreign lands, to set apart and observe the last Thursday of November next as a day of thanksgiving and praise to our beneficent Father who dwelleth in the heavens. And I recommend to them that while offering up the ascriptions justly due to him for such singular deliverances and blessings, they do also with humble penitence for our national perverseness and disobedience, commend to his tender care all those who have become widows, orphans, mourners, or sufferers in the lamentable civil strife in which we are unavoidably engaged, and fervently implore the interposition of the Almighty hand to heal the wounds of the nation, and to restore it as soon as may be consistent with the divine purposes to the full enjoyment of peace, harmony, tranquility, and union." So, who wrote it better? The man most closely associated with the founding of our nation, or the man most closely associated with preserving it? Tough call. What I can say is this: in the story of a country founded by rebels, yet preserved from later rebels, we can learn something good about both subversion and submission. So the best advice I can give you is this: be subversive in a blind, selfish, entitled world. Give thanks to the Lord, for he is good. His love endures forever.